If you're watching this video, clearly, you are the man of the house. This is the Sooner Sun 2 show, and thanks for watching. Well, guys, to my subscribers, I hope you enjoyed that surprise right there. That was my attempt at riff tracks of the Power Rangers pilot episode, and seeing as how I got no comments on either of those videos, I'm going to go ahead and take that as a sign that I should not quit my day job, which is talking sports. So, awesome intro, still coming, still working on it. But at the moment, I wanted to touch base on this issue and make another video because I've just been seeing more sources, not just in local media, but on ESPN, reporting about this topic. And I feel the need to address it as a fan and as an alumnus of the university. I keep on reading articles about how something is simmering between the Oklahoma Sooners and the Missouri Tigers. Something is brewing. It's just brewing because people are saying now Nebraska's gone. OU is the most hated team on Missouri's side, so this is a rivalry now. Okay, I'm sorry, what? People are actually beginning to think that OU and Missouri have become a rivalry game now. And guys, I really believe that this is just a sign of the inevitable slow nosedive of this conference right here. Clearly, I am of the school of thought that the reign of the super conferences is inevitable, and I think it's only a matter of time till OU and the South teams are sucked into the SEC West. But really, I really think they're reaching here, and this is just my opinion, but I think the whole concept of rivalry in college football is sometimes watered down. I don't think some people really understand the concept of a rivalry here. Look, there are key characteristics in a rivalry game in college football. One is if you're in the same state. If you're in the same state, it's an in-state rivalry. It's like you share the same house, so you go at it. But even then, it's a toss-up because think about Ohio State, Ohio. There is no way in heck Ohio is ever going to match up to Ohio State. And then we and Oklahoma State are an in-state rivalry, but then again, our rivalry is the most lopsided interstate rivalry in college football in favor of us, to the point where even if Okie State beat us every year for the next 6 decades, they would still be behind in the series, and yet we call that a rivalry. Even then, it's a toss-up. And a few other characteristics is you have to have a history, and not a short history, a longer, solidified history of heated, angry, close games. You beat them one year, they beat you the next year, you beat them the next year. Like, I'm talking 10-year war between Ohio State, Michigan, Woody Hayes, Bob Schlemberger, or Schlemberger, or whatever his last name is called, something like that, you know, year after year after year, and something has to be on the line, something big has to be on the line consistently, like those two teams, like 1 and 2, or they're duking it out for supremacy or something or another, and if one beats the other, then, you know, it's bragging rights for the next year. That's not what OU and Missouri are about, and really, this whole exchange between OU and Missouri, this whole thing that's simmering, is only a few years old, but let me go ahead and give a bit of a historical context behind this whole thing. It all started back in 2007. The Missouri Tigers were having a breakout year, the best year of their college football career, really, with players like Chase Daniel, Jeremy Maclin. They had stars on both sides of the ball, and they were cruising through the beginning of their schedule. They beat rival Illinois, they crushed rival Nebraska, and they were going in undefeated at the beginning of the season. Now, OU was also having a really good year. We beat Texas. We were quarterbacked for the first time by a young guy named Sam Bradford, and when we beat Texas, we took control of the South, controlled our destiny to the point where if we just kept on winning, the berth in the Big 12 championship would be inevitable. Coincidentally, Missouri's rival Kansas was also having a breakout year. Believe it or not, folks, there was a point in college football history where the Kansas Jayhawks played in the Orange Bowl, if you can believe it, which means the border war between Missouri and Kansas that year was so hyped, possibly the most hyped border war of all time, with Missouri coming out on top. Missouri was riding that energy high. They were ready to go to the Big 12 championship game. They had the #1 ranking in the country, which means just one game stood between them and a national championship chance. That was in the form of Oklahoma in the Big 12 championship game, who did not stand down, completely destroyed them, and took the Big 12 championship and their national championships away. That was the hope that the Missouri Tigers had. And then next year, the following year, in 2008, who else but two combatants meet up in the Big 12 championship game again but OU and Missouri? This time, it's not even close for a second. OU completely demolishes Missouri on the way to their own championship run in Miami. And that brings us to today. Now, Missouri beat Oklahoma in Columbia this past season. Okay, what did that do? What did that do for anyone besides make the Missouri Tigers feel better about themselves? People think that's a revenge game. How is that a revenge game when it didn't do anything? That game certainly didn't derail OU's season because we went on to get the Big 12 championship again that year, and it certainly didn't do anything for Missouri's season, seeing as how they still got beat by Nebraska and didn't make it to the last championship game. It did nothing. So besides making Missouri feel better about themselves, that game did nothing. And people think this is a rivalry. This is not a rivalry. This is about OU dominating Missouri twice in a Big 12 championship game, and this is about Missouri being butthurt about it. That's not a rivalry. That is not a rivalry. These two teams face each other 2 years in a row and then not play each other for 2 years and then play each other for 2 years. That's not a rivalry. Now, of course, that changes now because now we'll be playing each other every year. But one win over us in, 4, 5 years? That doesn't constitute a rivalry. It's like A&M. They beat us last year. Oh, great. That was the first time you beat us in, 4, 5 years? That's not a rivalry either. Heck, Texas Tech beats OU more often than either A&M or Missouri, and we don't consider them a rival either. It's not a rivalry, and I've even seen some stories reaching so far as to count recruiting as a part of this rivalry. Recruiting. Now, guys, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't get into recruiting. I really don't, because it doesn't matter 4 stars, 5 stars, until I see them play on the field and until I see them do things, that's when I'll get excited about them. Like when I saw Kenny Stills in the spring game a few years ago and I got excited about him. That's when I got excited about him. But as you can see, recruiting matters and it doesn't matter. Because you look at the Texas Longhorns and look at all these 4, 5-star recruits they get in, and they get a losing season and don't even make a bowl game last year. Recruiting in that sense doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is how the teams play on the field. That's the only thing that matters to me. But people are saying, oh, OU stole a recruit from Missouri. Oh, rivalry. Oh, but Missouri kept this recruit in state while OU was going into them. Oh, rivalry. Guys, you're really reaching. You are really reaching when it comes to this. OU and Missouri is not a rivalry. And the fact that we're trying to promote this, in my view, is just really an indicator of how bad this conference has become now. Some people are excited about not having a championship game. I am not. I am not. How are we going to compete with the other conferences now who will have championships in the next round? I mean, Nebraska, I think, will make a good splash in the Big Ten. Colorado is going to become the Baylor of the Pac-12 because, as we saw with Colorado versus the California Golden Bears last year, they were completely destroyed. That was just a taste, Colorado. Hope you like facing off against Oregon every year, or Stanford. Have fun with that. But, yeah, guys, OU and Missouri is not a rivalry. If you want this game to be a rivalry, Missouri, you know what? Even Missouri fans don't want to have something like recruiting be reached out. They've got more dignity than that. If this becomes a rivalry, you want this to become a rivalry, you got to have close games from here on out, heated, angry fans, make a history of really close games, but the only way for that to do that is for Missouri to get revenge over OU for both the times that we destroyed not only their conference but national championship hopes. Missouri is never, ever going to get that opportunity again because now there's no championship game. How can this be a rivalry now? OU, Missouri, not a rivalry. It's OU being dominant over them and then beating us every 4 or 5 years. But I guess that's a rivalry now. Guys, that's all I got to say on the matter. I've got some cool new videos coming up soon, so look forward to that. I'm Sooner Son 2 signing out. Y'all have a good one.